Most deals you're going to see as a beginner investor are not really deals at all. It is important for you to understand what you must have in a property to consider adding it to your portfolio so that your investments serve you in the way you need them to. Being really clear on your portfolio criteria helps you quickly eliminate any property that will not work for you. And this video is about just that. Today I'm going to give you all the details about what I must get out of any property I consider adding to my portfolio, or it's a hard pass for me. Hi y'all, welcome. My name is Lori Livers. I know it looks like livers, but it sounds like livers. I don't know why, that's just the way it is. Everybody gets used to it. I am a real estate investor, and in just under 3 years, I have been able to create enough monthly cash flow to leave my 9-to-5 behind. And this video is all about how I choose the perfect properties to add to my rental portfolio. So let's get started. I get asked all the time about how I know which properties to buy and which ones to pass on. And this is a fantastic question and so very important to know. Before we get started, you should know that these are my personal requirements. The great thing about investing in real estate is that you really can tailor your investing strategy any way you see fit. Just because this is my requirement doesn't mean it has to be yours, or that you can't be successful in many other ways. These requirements work perfectly for me, and they can for you as well. But please do feel free to do your own thing. The very first thing I look for in a potential property is the location. My location requirement is that the property must be within a 30-minute drive time of my home. Now this is important to me because I still enjoy self-managing all of my properties. However, I do not enjoy sitting in traffic to do it. And sitting in traffic is not at all living the life I want to live, so I avoid it. I do not invest outside of a 30-minute radius of my home so that I don't have to sit in traffic and I don't have any other inconvenience in managing my properties. For me, location matters, and it matters a lot. Now the next requirement I have for a property is also location-based. I will not purchase a property that I do not feel confident being in on my own, all alone. Now, I did not grow up in a nice part of town, and I don't scare very easily, but I'm not stupid. There are simply some areas it's just not smart for me to be in, and these areas exist within a 30-minute drive time of my home. But I don't go there, and that's just all I have to say about that. Hey, can you please hit that like button if you're still here and ready to hear all about the numbers part of my property criteria? This is the part I get asked about the very most, and I'm ready to share it all. Thanks. So now that we have the location thing out of the way, this brings us to the numbers part of the requirements I have for any property I'm going to add to my rental portfolio. This is the part people seem to be the most interested in hearing, so let's get to it. My first and foremost requirement is focused on cash flow. Cash flow is my number one financial priority because it is why I invest. I don't want to go to work for somebody else and trade time for money. I much prefer to provide safe, clean, affordable housing to families and make my money that way. So I need cash flow to live on, and to do this, my minimum amount of monthly cash flow for a property is $400 per month after all the expenses. All the expenses includes a mortgage payment, taxes, insurance, vacancy, repairs, and maintenance. Everything. If I can't clear a minimum of $400 per month after all expenses, I won't even consider looking at a property. Now, I should tell you, I don't have a single property in my portfolio that doesn't clear at least $500 or more per month, but that is very specific to the area I invest in. Many investors clear much more in cash each month because of the area they invest in. It allows for it. Many investors clear much less per month in clear cash because the area they invest in doesn't allow for it. It's all relative to the area you invest in, so know that. Everything in real estate is about location, 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 and investing in real estate is no different at all. Many investors will happily go wherever the cash flow is and manage the property through a property manager. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. And this is where I will take my business in a few years. But for now, I want to self-manage, so my minimum monthly cash flow requirement is $400 per month. And that is a realistic and very possible number to achieve in my area. This is how I came to my minimum acceptable number based on the area that I invest in. Now my next requirement is also numbers based, and it's all about the forced appreciation. Forced appreciation is the money I create in equity simply by purchasing and rehabbing the property. Forced appreciation is the difference between the after repair value of the house less all the money required to make it happen. I require a minimum amount of forced appreciation in the same amount of cash that I'm going to invest in acquiring a property. So this number varies from one property to the next, but the formula is always the same. For me, forced appreciation must be equal to or greater than the amount of money I will invest to create the appreciation all in. For example, if I'm going to invest $25,000 purchasing and rehabbing a property, the resulting after repair value, what the appraiser says the house is worth when it's all said and done, must be a minimum of $25,000 more than what I spend to purchase and rehab the property. So what that means is if I'm going to purchase a house plus rehab for $125,000 using a loan and $25,000 of my own money, then the resulting appraised value of the house must be a minimum of $150,000. The all-in purchase plus rehab is $125,000. I use $25,000 of my own money to make that happen. So the ARV, the after repair value, must be at least $150,000. And that creates the $25,000 in forced appreciation as the minimum match to the $25,000 of my own money I used in the deal. I hope that makes sense to you. Please do drop down into the comments and let me know. I think this one is a little tricky to communicate well, but I am really trying. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. When I am on site at a property, I use a rental property calculator app made by Chandler Smith. I think it's important to have this app on hand for me because when I visit a property in person, I often see additional rehab issues and sometimes, only once, I see fewer rehab issues than what I expect. Chandler's app works really well on the fly and I highly recommend it. I'm not sponsored or anything by Chandler. He doesn't even know I exist, but his app is exactly what I need on site at a property for my on-the-fly calculations. I will leave a link to it in the description below if you want to check it out. I think it's fantastic. I use it all the time. It is really great. I get asked a lot about how I determine what my after repair value should be, and I determine this by running comps for the property. Now there is as much art as there is science in running comps, and it would really help to have an experienced realtor on your team to help you with the comps, especially when you first get started. But please do pay them. It's not fair to ask them to work for free, and realtors don't get paid unless they represent you in either the purchase or a sale of a property that closes. In most of the properties you purchase as an investor, you're going to be representing yourself. So don't ask realtors to work for free. In my opinion, that's just not cool. Let me know down below in the comments if you would like to see how I run comps. Some find it interesting, others not so much. For me, it's vital that I'm running good comps, but that doesn't mean you want to see it. So just let me know what you think about that. Really, that's it. Location and cash flow. Forced appreciation. Those are my make it or break it factors in deciding what properties to add to my portfolio. And these criteria alone eliminate 98% of the deals I look at. If I'm left with more than one property that meets all of my criteria, but I can only afford to add one, then I choose the one that's in the neighborhood I like the most. Once all these criteria are met, it just comes down to personal preference. Which floor plan and area do I like the most? And then I run with it. I am a huge believer in only doing one property at a time for your first several deals anyway. There are so many benefits to the one at a time thing. I highly recommend adding one rental at a time to your portfolio until you're really, really comfortable with what you're doing. Then, when you know that you know what you're doing, go all out. Do all the deals all at the same time because you've got this. So now you know how I go about choosing properties for my portfolio. I'd love to hear what you would do the same. And I'd also love to hear what you would do differently. Do you have any questions about why I do it this way? Let's chat down in the comments. I'm waiting for you right over here in the video you see on your screen now. What do you think? Do you have a few more minutes to hang out? I hope your answer to that is yes. But until you get there, bye y'all.